From the historic captain's cabin aboard Battleship Iowa, this is Scuttlebutt, the official podcast of the National Museum of the Surface Navy in affiliation with the Surface Navy Association's Battleship Iowa chapter. And today we have the pleasure of talking with new Pacific Battleship Center board members Phil Bloom, founder and president of American Scenic Design, and Josh Wexler, chief executive of fun at Pure Imagination Studios. These two are pioneers in the entertainment industry and the world of amusement park experience design. They lead the teams that are bringing the National Museum of the Surface Navy to life. They took time out of their packed schedules to sit down with us and share why they're excited to be part of what we're building. A quick disclaimer, we had a bit of a glitch with Phil's microphone at first, so if you're having volume issues, it's not you, it's us. We got to fix really quick, so just bear with us. Thank you for your patience. Let's get into this.
Actually, I'm just going to say something. You know, I worked at the aquarium for 6 years, and we started to evaluate the first big expansion at the aquarium. And during that process, we interviewed 20 different architects and designers, and you guys are different. You really are. Now, this goes back a good 25 years or so, but people were not as concerned about the experience back then. What is that experiential goal that you might have? It was all about just the standard fare of the traditional organizations. And so you guys don't fit that mold, which I think fits us better. That's just my quick comment. Maybe it'll start something. Does that make sense? Because you guys come from a slightly different background. I mean, you do have an architecture background, Phil, and which I think is really powerful. You need that. You don't really quite use it in exactly the same way here, but still you do. And actually, I don't even know your full background, Josh. I just, you know, it's all about media production, you know, and I think experiential work out there in the world. That's my gut. I'm just the engineer here, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, Jonathan talks about his purpose, and part of that is a journey of what to do this work, and you know, a lot of it you don't realize till later. You can't articulate later. You're going through, and I'm getting opportunities to do things, and I'm doing things better than I thought, or worse than I thought, and it kind of angling to where I'm going to go. And then I kind of really figured out what my role was in this, in the industry of guest experiences and design stuff, and that's really the role I've had for the last 30-something years, which is supporting somebody with a creative vision to help them realize that vision. And the architecture training mostly is, you know, a lot of stuff, you got to be technical, you got to understand technical stuff to do anything in today's world. And then you have to get that and bridge the concepts, people's visions, and marry it with the technology and put it together. And it's not just architecture, but it's just the way of marrying those two things together, making those connections. That's sort of what, you know, when I find my purpose is, and I can just roll with that.
But when you pull up to an amusement park or some other major venue, you have a sense of arrival, and just that statement alone was something that came out of our earliest conversations.
I think when Phil pulls up to an amusement park, he's like, that's wrong there, that's not right.
Probably.
They call it a Phil walk.
I'm not super critical. I like to appreciate the stuff that's good about things, you know. It's like, hey, you know, sometimes you might do something differently, but it's like, wow, look at what they did here.
It's pretty funny. When we were at IOWA, we went to one of the local amusement parks, and I was walking around staring up at that, like, where's their facial recognition? Where are their cameras placed? Where everybody else is looking down.
So, I mean, I think, you know, how we kind of got led to you guys down a pathway for us. I mean, it's I can tell you, I hear from people, as we went to IAPA even, that folks are always trying to find the right alignment with somebody that's got an alignment in what they're doing, and creating the creative experience. And we've gone through, talked to different people over the years, great experts, great people at what they do. But I think when we ran into you guys, it kind of just aligned. It came together for us to be really the right mix of things. But I mean, obviously this journey didn't start with you guys back, 10 years ago? It started,
I think,
how many years ago?
Well, I think part of the angst that we had as an organization growing up was we didn't want to be just another boring ship. And I'll say that. And I have friends in the industry. I'm executive director of HENSA, but there's so much of the old style that we didn't want to be. And I think that's really powerful for us, because if you really desire something different, it's going to end up in your lab.
Part of the reason that we mesh really well, all of us here, is Josh and I both have a very collaborative style of working, and a lot of companies in our industry don't. They're like, hey, we know what we're doing. We've done it 1,000 times. We're going to do it for you. We're going to get our fee in that. And I saw people treating you like you're a regular ship, like you're a different ship. And we saw this as what Jonathan's vision was, and say, wow, how can we get that and use this platform, this amazing platform, to get this vision out? And I think that's really what makes us stick to this project, is that collaboration, and then what you have here and what you want to do with it. Because most people can't see, like what you just said, let's make something different. They're just thinking, hey, I got a cool ship, and that's all they think.
And some people are constrained by the past. I mean, that they just want to only do what traditionally had been done. And literally, some of the ships that we know just kept opening up another compartment, another room, and they kept thinking they were adding real value to their institution, and ultimately they weren't. And now 40 years later, they don't have anything that's adaptable or forward-thinking at all.
And how do you program the space? I mean, ultimately, it's space. It's a stage.
Yeah.
I look at the ship as a stage, except one step further, where it has, where it's actually the stage. It's the real thing that people try to recreate. We have the real thing. So how do you program it? And and you've met sailors at this point. I think America, in my opinion, America has a further distance from their military than at any time in history.
Yes.
And they don't see their service members as their brothers or their sisters or their kids or their aunts or uncles. They see them as this thing on almost on another side of a wall, like this, oh my gosh, there's a sailor. I don't even know what to think. It's this stoic piece, and I look at it and say, how do we humanize that sailor? How do we humanize that service member to make people feel like they're part, that they can be them? These are the same folks.
I think, too, what always drove us was story, and that's certainly the classic Walt Disney point of view. We're going to kill them with product and story and so forth. And there's so many stories here, and that's really it.
We've said for years that this is just a chunk of metal without the stories, without the people involved. And that humanization is really important. As a veteran myself, one of the things that I've watched thank you for your service go from, I'm really sorry what we did to your dad when he came home from Vietnam, to you're one of those and I'm not. And so it's moved a lot into sort of a us versus them, in group, out group. And I think that humanization and telling the story and hey, sailors and military personnel are in fact your neighbors and your brothers and your sisters, is an important thing to get past or to get by.
Yeah, I do always appreciate that the ship is a hunk of metal till you tell the story, but I think Josh and I talk about how the stories you want to tell are way more impactful for this ship, so that the stories aren't as impactful out there as they are together with this ship. So the ship's not good without the stories, but the stories are way better if they're told in this environment. And so everything we're doing, we're sometimes you're in a room that's just about the effects we're putting in front of you and the stories we're telling, but there's always a presence of this ship here, and it never goes away from you. And I don't even think it's in your face enough to say that hey, look what that sailor had to do. It's sort of like in the background where after a period of time, somebody realizes, wow, this is where people lived, and this is what they did. And it just makes our stories resonate more. I think the stories are important that we're telling, but it's way more easy to tell in this platform.
By the way, one of the ships, I'm not going to name the ship actually, but there are ships and or just other locations that literally just look at it as a still life. It's a snapshot. That's not how I look at it here, because one of the things that appealed to me from day one was this is still living history. We're the fourth crew of the ship, and there's all these stories to tell in this environment, but it's not a still life, and that bothered me a lot.
I had that discussion a lot with some of my shipmates off of here. When we talked about doing things like cutting holes in the ship and facilitating throughput, people get a little titchy about, you need to preserve it exactly as it was. And the other thing is, I hear people ask me all the time, oh, is this original? And I'm like, well, I served on here in the 80s, it's original to me. might not be original World War II. And it brings up the conversation that there's kind of two ways to approach it. You can approach it to just restore something as a still life, but we like to look at it as more like a car guy or a car person, right? Nobody buys a classic to put it on a shelf. They want to drive it. And so
Some people do.
True.
That's why there's still
That's
some of
true.
the still lifes that exist,
there are.
right?
Yeah,
in the
still life has
museum
value.
world.
But we
and
very
all of
much
that,
have
but-
sort of a resto mod
Yes.
vibe to it. It's like I want all the phones working on the ship. I want the stuff working to the extent that we can get it working. Everything on the ship.
Yeah, we do actually operate a lot more of the ship than most other vessels. You know, whether it's the sewage system, which doesn't sound terribly exciting, it certainly isn't, but air conditioning
we
system.
like it.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of things that we actually still use, and we can operate legally and so forth.
And that we don't fake. I mean, I had dial tone on all the phones until about 2 months ago when something broke that is incredibly difficult to get a replacement part for.
So what are your guys' backgrounds? Like, I know, Bill, you're a San Pedro kid, believe it or not.
Are you really? I didn't.
Yeah, I grew up in San Pedro, and so this was, and my father was a Air Force guy, so I'm a military guy. We moved around a lot, but moved here eventually, and this is where I kind of grew up in San Pedro. So this is kind of my hometown. So it's really neat working on a project here in San Pedro, and I know it pretty well. You know, this area, know what it was like, 40 years, 50 years ago, what Pacific Street was like, and what Gaffey Street was like, and all these other places.
Beacon.
I'm on the other side of town, yeah. But you're down here too. You're a kid in this town, and you're biking all over. So
Yes.
every place.
Yeah. Well, that sailor, we want to theme that sailor bar like it's Beacon again, just for the modern public.
Yeah. Well, there used to be an army base in town too when I was a kid. Fort MacArthur was right over here. Kind of where all this housing and all this other stuff.
So, how
is,
did you
but-
get into this industry? I mean, you didn't hang out at Disneyland every weekend, I'm sure.
Well, I went to school to study architecture and theater at the same time, and then sort of, I guess, working early as you get out of school and you're working. It's a good way. This industry, I didn't know about this industry, the theme park, themed entertainment industry. I just sort of working theater, working movies, working architecture. It all kind of came together where I said, oh, there's this industry that does something like Disneyland, specifically Disneyland. It's like, oh yeah, that's real architecture and that's theater put together. So it seems like a good fit for me. And then once you're in there, there's so many places, so many things to do in that industry, and it's just about finding the right role for yourself and how you can contribute. I think the main thing to me is this industry is very collaborative. At every level, it's a very collaborative industry. You need a lot of people to come together, a lot of different disciplines to come together to make this work, and that's what sort of draws me to it, is the collaboration, the fact that everybody comes with their expertise to build a single thing, and that's sort of how the industry works, and that kind of led us to these projects. And by the time we met you, I mean, Josh and I are veterans. We have a lot of experience, and we're at the place where we can not pick all our clients, but really pick which ones we stick with and what we do. And what I was looking for, what I'm always looking for, is that person with a vision that really has something in a vision that I can help make that vision happen. And so that's really what this ship was with you guys, was to say, wow, they really have an idea what they want to do. Very difficult to prove, but it's also one of a kind. I mean, everything we do is one of a kind, and this is even more one of a kind than anything else, because we're just making it up. But we can still use our knowledge and our experience on how people move through places, how people experience things, to help you get your vision to these people. Yeah. So this is a good mix for us, for me.
Well, we're blessed to have both of you guys, because I think our vision is too big sometimes. I'm like, we're trying to achieve something too big. So it's hard for folks to see what we're really doing, and I think getting it out there and finally getting it going is going to be big. So
Phil,
Josh,
I just got to ask though, Phil, what was your first job in the industry? Because I don't even know that.
I was a set designer on the movie Master of the Universe, the old
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, the Dolph Lundgren movie.
Wow.
That was my
I
first
didn't know
time.
that.
I when I got out of college, I was working as a young architect, but I was doing theater. I was putting on, my friends or people I know would put on small equity waiver shows, and I'd design and make sets for them and be all part of that theater and architecture world. And then I met some people and got a job as a set designer on a movie, and did a couple other movies. And those are neat. I mean, I loved movies, but it really wasn't for me. The idea that you'd make these big, amazing, I mean, Mass Universe had amazing sets, big, huge, amazing sets, and then you film and then you tear them all down. And it's like, okay, well, now then I got an industry where we can make those great sets and they stay up forever, and then people have to live in them and stuff like that. So that's sort of how I went from that to this.
And there's a new movie coming out.
There's another. They're making a new one.
Yeah.
Cool, huh?
Trailer just came out. Yeah.
So Josh, what's
my background? I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and when I saw Star Wars and the Muppet movie, I was like, I want to do that. Like, I was hooked. And from a young age, though, we would drive down to Florida every Christmas to see my grandparents and my aunt and uncle. And Disney World had just opened. And we would usually, either on the way down or the way back, stop and go there. And it was so mesmerizing to me and incredible that they just, between the movies and Disney World, just left such a indelible mark on, truly, like, on my soul. I was like, I want to do this stuff. And went to film school in New York, came out, did some internships out here in the summers and whatnot, worked on Home Alone and Killer Angels, Civil War movie, and all this stuff. And then graduated and moved out here pretty soon after, and started a company, and we licensed the rights to a video game that was still testing in the arcades of Chicago at the time, called Mortal Kombat.
Oh, oh my gosh, I
Yes.
played that as a kid all the time.
Yeah.
I love that game. I'd sit in the bowling alley and play that for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for almost 2 decades of my life, producing all the Mortal Kombat movies and television shows and animation and everything. And yeah, and during that time, we had built sort of a visual effects company and everything to support not only our own productions, but word got out and people started coming to us, and we started working in the theme park space, which I knew and loved. And we built a relationship with Disney. We made Mission Space for Epcot and a number of other projects. And then about 14 years ago now, I left that and started Pure Imagination to really focus on storytelling everywhere, right? Just be able to tell stories on any media or platform, not just kind of 2D screens. So kind of calling it like multi-dimensional design. And met him, it's been almost a decade and a half, 2 decades.
Yeah.
Known you, yeah.
How did you guys meet?
Mutual friend, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big industry, and
Yeah.
This industry is interesting that that you would work with somebody, and then 20 years later you work with them again, and it's like you don't miss a beat. I'm sure it's the same for you guys. You see somebody you've worked with before, but there's a lot of that industry, and you stay friends, and there's all events where you see each other all the time, and it's like, hey, we're gonna work together again, and sometimes you don't, and sometimes you do 20 years later. So but that's the thing is, the collaboration needs teams put together, and sometimes it's like, hey, this could really use this guy, this could use that guy, and then we build teams all the time to do our projects. So, but in the meantime, between projects, we still see each other and still like talk about what we're doing, and then we get to work together again.
So I think that's where I go back to, like, you have your purpose, you find your purpose, which both of you kind of found your purpose, and it's those connections that you've built over your entire life that actually lead to what you may do in the future, or it opens doors for you, and how valuable those connections may be to be able to succeed in life. Do you feel like those connections really have helped?
100%. I tell my kids all the time, your network is your net worth, right? It's the people that you know, it's the people you work with, and I think if you are kind and honest with all those people that you meet along the way, all of that stuff just comes back to you. I think almost all of the business that I've done is off of relationships. Truly, like we don't even have a sales organization inside.
You know, we're the same way. No business development. We just build our network because my company, we're not trying to grow. We're trying to be the right size to do the work we do, and I think every job we get is because of the network, and not just even projects I get as a company, but even when I was younger, every job I got was reaching out and making that network connection. And this is a part we tell young people getting out of school. How do you build that network, and what do you do? And as it happens, my company, we hire a lot of people right out of college, their first job out of college, and we have a really good methodology of training people, making them useful really their first day of work. It's not like it takes a month to learn how to. We can make you useful your first day. We can make you grow and grow and grow. And we've taken a lot of people that have gone through our company, got a start through our company, and gone on. At least 20 people have gone into Universal, another 5 or 6 have gone into Disney. Other people just can start at our company, and part of it's because I look at the young people that don't have networks yet, and I try to say, let's start a network for them. And it's a way of saying, if you wait for somebody to have a network, then they lose chance of connections. And because they're so important, my outreach to young people, not just with my company, but with industry talks and stuff, is about making those connections early on and really forcing them early. Because if you don't have them, you're not working. Submitting a resume it's not going to get anywhere. Portfolios don't get you anything. It's just meeting people and.
You need that call. We're putting the band back together. We need your horn. That's exactly it.
And the other thing about our work, it's so collaborative that we have veterans like ourselves, but there's always room for, hey, let's not just get all veterans, let's bring some young people in, because we need that energy and that attitude from young people, and that sort of builds the teams and keeps the networks growing.
Cool. So what have you guys what do you've gotten more exposure to, say, this world of sailors and veterans, and I don't know if you had much exposure to it before now. What do you think about it? Because I believe that sailors and people that serve do it because they find purpose, and really I think those connections that they build through there are lifetime connections that could lead to a future in life. So now, did you guys have much exposure to the military side? I know, Phil, you grew up in it, but much exposure to the military side and getting more exposure now, and what does it make you see as that whole, the people and the stories behind it?
Do you want to go first?
Well, I mean, look, my father was a pilot in the Air Force, so we were Air Force guys. We grew up on Air Force bases, and we did, air shows and stuff like that. So I was pretty, at least exposed to the military life, but not the non-commissioned officer side, or not the enlisted side, and that's what I'm picking up more here, mostly because I'm paying attention to it more now, and I do think that people go into the military for different reasons, and some people really have a purpose. Some people just, it's like, hey, I don't know what else to do, let me try this thing, and I think it surprises everybody what it turns out for them, and I think people talk about why they went in and what it was really like 5 years after being in is completely different than when they thought it was going to be. And I think that's actually part of the story too. And that's part of what we're trying to do is kind of put little breadcrumbs out there to say, hey, what would it be like? Why don't you think about doing this? It's not going to be what you think it is. It's going to be something different than that, but it might lead to something. And that's kind of part of what we're doing here is helping put the breadcrumbs out there so people start thinking about it differently.
For me, had family, I should say, that served, great uncles, my cousin, not my brothers or mom and dad, but always was sort of raised with the kind of reverence and respect, I would say, for our military and for everybody who serves, and to be very proud of it. So that's sort of how it's been in part of my life, and being more exposed to it over the years, just by things like this and some other opportunities we've been given. It just shows you how thankful and grateful we should be for everybody who serves. I think what was really telling for a lot of my staff, we had the opportunity to go on a cruise, if you will, on an Arleigh Burke class destroyer, and so a lot of my staff are, young people who've never really been exposed to the military in any way, and hearing their stories after they came back from 4 days at sea were just, I think it reshaped their entire worldview of really what everybody does and how hard they work and how much respect, newfound respect, they really have for not only our sailors, but our veterans and everything. I think it just really changed their perspective. So for us, the ability, I think, to tell that story to so many people on this platform is really key, because I just don't think a lot of young people today have the exposure or knowledge of what it means to be a member of our military and to serve and to be a sailor.
So I'm going to put you both on the spot. If you were to if we had a multi-million-dollar funder in that chair over there, what would you tell them in your elevator pitch of why this was important to them?
Well, important to the funder?
Yeah. Why is what we're doing important?
Oh, I mean, do we have 3 hours? I mean, no, I mean...
We could put 3 hours
yeah,
and split pieces of it.
It's incredibly important. I mean, we've talked about it. This ship is a platform, right? Not only is it a storytelling vessel, it is a way to basically create our next generation workforce, which I think is hugely, hugely important. We're seeing young people that are so directionless in a way. They don't know what they want to do, and the opportunity to show them a path here, as much as the ship is about its history and the legacy and all of those things, to your point, it's a working ship in a lot of ways, and it still has so much relevance to what's going on in the world. So how do you bring young people in, and then when they leave, they have more direction or curiosity or inspiration to go find what they want to do? Like, this is a real platform to do that with.
I think it's once again, I go back to, do you discover your purpose?
Yes.
What is your purpose? This gives an opportunity to go down the pathway to get a purpose.
To me, it's that inspiration, that little nugget. I talk about this all the time. In 8th grade, I was able to go down to the Long Beach Naval Shipyard and Naval Station, and just that brief glimpse was just that little kernel that grew into an engineering degree and merchant marine license and the whole. And here I am now after 25 years of nonprofits.
Like Mike said, if you ignite that one spark, right? Yeah. That's going to put somebody on a course that is so meaningful. That is worth everything that we're doing.
And that inspiration does not necessarily put them on a rail. I mean, I started my career on this ship as a wrench-turning diesel mechanic. I left Google to come to be the CTO or CIO here when we opened the museum. There's a lot of twists and turns in that path, but the inspiration of what you can do, not just a career path, but the ability to go, at 17, 18 years old, I was put in charge of millions and millions of dollars worth of equipment. And learning that responsibility, learning how to function as part of a team, learning that, hey, I can't do everything by myself. I actually need some people to work with me, and then developing that network. That was part of what moved me, not just wearing the uniform from turning a wrench to working on satellite systems, but then in the civilian sector as well, learning that every single job has value. Every single person who is part of the team is contributing, even if they're not doing what you're doing. So that inspiration spans not not just a job, which can be very fulfilling, but also sort of the broader how to function in a larger group, or how to function as a team, and how to be responsible.
What would you tell a funder?
Well, I look at what you said a minute ago, how you're worried about your vision being too big or your dreams being too big, and that's a big part of it. I think somebody else that might have a ship like this, their dreams are finite in a sense that I want to make a neat place, I want to preserve this heritage of this thing, but the vision that you have for this thing is big, and I think part of when your philosophy of or just your statement is you're dreaming too big, is because it's endless. We have this big platform to do stuff. The ideas that we have here are going to take a lot of funds to really pull off, and you'll never be finished with your vision. And part of what Josh and I are doing is trying to hone that to say, okay, what do we start with? What's the next thing? And so we can make that story being told piece by piece, but in a logical manner. But I would tell that person, obviously, if you're talking to somebody here, they're interested in military and preservation of military, but I would say that this is much bigger than that, and much bigger than just preserving an old ship or just preserving something for people to see, just preserving history. This is both. We're preserving the history, but we're moving it forward. And that's what I would do. I'd really look at what your vision is and say, nobody else is doing anything like this.
Yeah, I was going to say literally the same thing. You are, as much as you're honoring the legacy and preserving the knowledge and the history of the past, so much more about looking forward into the future and how all of this stuff can actually contribute to, again, going back to that inspiration, right, of where are we going, not always where we've been.
Not just where we've been, exactly.
And the more other ships people see, then they come to this one. Once we get it built out, it'll be like, wow, this will be stands completely different of what the message we're trying to tell. People might get bored going one ship, another ship, and some people like seeing ships. I mean, people like us, we'd just go see ships anyway. But
I personally call it I use this number, I call it the 7%. The 7% of America is going to love ships. We want to target the 93% of America that knows nothing about ships. And I believe, in my opinion, the museum's role in the past was preserving artifacts, which, in a lot of cases, artifacts that need to be preserved, and I don't dispute that. But what's a museum's role in the future, and what's its role in the community? And museum, I don't even think it's the right word. I don't think the word.
I totally agree.
I don't even know what word it is at this point.
Yes.
Like, I believe that an institution needs to be a community platform and anchor that creates an experience for people to experience life, find pathways into new careers, be able to come together and collaborate, come together and connect, come together and, it's like Disneyland, right? You can come together and you're able to enjoy a world for a day away from the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's that social capital discussion that we had 12 years ago from another institution. You have to be far more to your community than not. People really had a narrow view of what this ship was. We heard literally in our first months here, all that just to be a war machine. And that's not at all.
Yeah.
That limits you so much, and it also speaks to that still life, in my opinion.
We don't talk about, something I've learned is we don't highlight what we do enough. I mean, we have led the entire redevelopment of the waterfront of San Pedro. And we don't talk about that, but you're seeing condo complexes going up, you're seeing quality of life increase, you're seeing businesses thrive, you're seeing economic development happen, you're seeing people get jobs, you're seeing an entire revamping of the community that really started, 12 years ago when we arrived.
Yep.
And kicked off, we were the first fire, or the first pearl in the string of pearls that kicked off many other things. And I think we could do the same thing in how we recreate an experience, an authentic, immersive experience in the real environment. We don't have to build the environment. That's what's so cool.
Yep.
We don't have to create it from scratch. We have it.
We have a stage. Come dance on it, right?
I also appreciate that this location that you're at wasn't supposed to be the permanent location. So what's built outside the ship wasn't focused on. But now that you know this is the permanent location, what's the welcoming part of what's outside the ship is going to change that too. And even though you're leading the development here, that was it's even going to be bigger now. Now that this is the permanent location and the building's going up and the plaza is going to be made, I think that's going to spur on the whole walk from here to all the way down to Ports of Call. There'll be people doing that walk every day, and
we see the little 4-wheel bicycle things, the carts, the pedal carts.
Surrey with a fringe on top. There you go.
Yeah, it really, they're kind of cool. And you're going to have an opportunity pretty soon to take a 1.5-mile, 2-mile run. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I do have to say, once we kind of have an old school mafia philosophy around here. Once you're in, you can't get out. What is it?
Once you're part of this family,
yeah, once you're part of this family, you can never leave.
Sounds like an Eagles song.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait a second! I didn't know this part yet.
That is what we're going into now.
That wasn't part of your briefing?
Yeah, that was part of the
we brought
briefing.
you here
Oh, wait a second!
You're stuck now.
Some stuff
You're
I didn't
pulled
know
right
about
in.
this outfit when I signed up.
You
But,
can
I mean,
check
we
out
do.
anytime you like.
We do
You
build
can
our own
never
community, and people stay involved and find a commitment to continue doing amazing things. And
Kind of addicting.
yeah, when you guys have been, from a personal standpoint, my son got stuck on that industry. Don't know why. Disneyland season pass, Universal season pass. Now going to school, clearing out my pocketbook. Even though, he could have gone a different way, but I will say he found his purpose was marching band, and his purpose, he knows his purpose, and it was the right path. And his pathway's launched incredibly, and you guys have been great guidance for him.
Yeah, we've actually really had fun. I've experienced now twice your comment of people just telling you, no, this is who you should be.
Yes.
Personally, twice in
Yeah.
the last 30 years
Yeah.
in this industry, or in the general industry, and it was not appreciated.
Yeah, I'll say, like, your son's at school now, and when I talk to college kids, any major, like every single major at USC, every single major at these colleges has a place in our industry. And that's really what draws people to it. It's like when I was in the world of architecture, all day long you're talking to architects, and it's architects, maybe an engineer or something like that, but it's that world. And in this world, it's everybody coming together, and you've got to know your end of it, and you've got to hold up your end of it, and everybody's got to hold up their end to make these projects work. And that's really what's attractive to people, and maybe it's what's attracting your son, is that all these people come from all over to do this, and it's not just, I know what it's like if you're on the band, everybody else, and a lot of people in the band, that's all they know is their bandmates.
Yeah.
And this kind of industry opens it up to everybody around, and it needs everybody around to make this work. Everybody from accountants to designers to everybody.
It's a community.
Yeah.
What I find is a community of people.
I think it's the kitchen sink philosophy too. You have to have every piece of that. You really do, everything, including the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and so that kind of thinking allows, like, people like me and Josh, we don't have to be everything. We can just be what we are, and then you build teams based on, hey, I need a Josh, I need a Phil, I need a Mike, I need somebody. We build teams that way, and that allows us to focus on what our purpose is. And once I figured out what my purpose was, what my role was, I've had that same job for 30 years, more than 30 years, and I get better at it, and I get more, and I do it different ways, but it's still the same job. It's that same, okay, I get on the team, and this is what I do.
And then you get that little spark, I get to work with him again.
Yeah, Josh. Work on that one again.
Get to, have to.
Josh is fun to work with.
Yeah, it's good. It's really good because look, not everybody in our industry has this same philosophy. So when we get, we build a team, and we build teams all the time, and they're not all 100%. They're not all winners. But when you get a team, that's actually kind of why we're staying here with this, because this team, with all you guys, with us, it's we're all in sync. That's really it's not all the time you get that. It's during the course of our careers. We can go back and say, man, that team was together. That team wasn't really together, but that team was together. And so this team is really part of why we're really committed to this thing.
Well, you're leaving a legacy and transforming. We're really, I believe we're transforming the industry. I think we're transforming. I feel like we're transforming the way the world will connect to what these ships are, connect to our sailors and the military.
I agree. I think to your earlier point, like museum isn't even the right word anymore,
Yeah.
right, for what this is. And I think people who come down here and start to experience what is being built and done, I'm hopeful. I'm hoping actually it will go and, transform this industry of still lifes, right, and static displays and all of that kind of stuff, because young people today, I keep sound like an old man, but it's like that's not what they want. They're not going to go sit and read a plaque,
No,
right?
no.
They want an Instagram moment.
They want,
they do, but they want
They want
experience.
experience.
They want an
They want experience.
And I spent most of my career working in disruptive technologies. And I said when I first came here, I didn't know whether it was something I wanted to stick with because I'd spent my whole life changing the world. I think we can change the world here too.
Agreed.
And I think we should.
I mean, look, a lot of credit goes to Walt Disney, and although he borrowed too from others, but I mean, he realized a long time ago that people want experiences, adults, kids, everybody,
When we
right?
find a word to call it, we need to trademark it.
What you said
Yeah.
earlier about the kids being directionless, something like this can really change that, because when you get in and have a visceral experience in something like this, it can really fire you up.
We've seen
Completely.
that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen to a lot
That
of
happened
people.
to my son. He went to the academy when he was 16 or 17 and just came back home. That's it. That
I
was
mean,
the
the number
trigger.
of kids that come on here and end
Yeah.
up going into the military or the Navy or take a pathway down into the military.
No, I mean, we're working with Space Camp now, and I've met a lot of the alumni, and it was because of their, week at Space Camp that they've either become astronauts, work in the aerospace industry.
still wanna
I
do
mean,
ship
it's
camp. I want ship camp.
but you can,
want
you,
ship
but you,
camp.
but you
I know we
can, and
can.
we
We have
should,
to
and
program
because
the
again,
experience,
two things you said, right? This is a real platform.
Yeah.
It's not just a piece of history. It's a platform to do storytelling, experiences, everything. But your other point, which I think so many people really do not understand, is programming, right? You program this, right? And if you think almost like a television network in the old days, I am programming. Why am I running this Friday nights and Saturday mornings and all of these things, right? And how do you get people to engage? It's because you program this. It's not a static thing, right?
When you say change the industry, the way I look at it is some people will copy what we do here because people copy things, but this is uncopyable. There's never going to be anything like this. You can even take another ship and try to do this, but it's not the same. This ship in this place, what we're making is unique to this, and that's actually what changes the industry. When people think of cookie cutter stuff, that's not what the industry is going to be. If I want to get that experience, that's the only place to get that experience. That's the only place to do that. And when they stumble upon this thing, they're in town, they what to do, and they stumble on this thing, it'll be a surprise to them because there's nothing else ever going to be like this. And that's the change, is that the other venue, maybe in Vegas or in Texas or in Washington or someplace, they've got to create the place that's unique to them. That's what's changing the industry. Not, hey, everybody's got to make an Iowa all over the place. It's, no, it's this. The lesson here for this is we're making this into what it needs to be, specifically for this and not anything else. And something else in Texas or something else in San Diego or something else in Nebraska, that's got to be authentic to itself too. And I think that's what we're doing here, is what we're jiving on your vision is, let's make this something that's specific to this ship. And the fact that it's a battleship with all these guns, and that's what people see when they leave, that's not what they're going to see, and that's what's going to change. That's what that shock of the initial view to what this message is or what the story we're telling on the ship is really part of what's going to make this ship unique. It's why if we told that story in a regular building, it's not as impactful.
Is there any sort of preview at all that you can give people and kind of tease what's coming?
Well, I was going to actually ask this question, how many people have you taken downstairs and shown a sneak peek of the
Not a lot.
great ships?
10, 15.
Not a lot. I've taken maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Just curious the
I
reaction.
haven't taken any.
Look, I would say the sneak peek is this. It's everything we're doing is about more hints on what it's like to be a sailor, what a sailor's life is like. and we look at a ship like this, and you go, a guy standing on the deck of this ship looking out to sea is not any different than it was 250 years ago. The tech is different, but that sea's the same, the guy on a boat's the same, that life's the same. So everything we do, we're telling stories, but it's going to come down to what is the life of a sailor, and what is it like being a sailor, and what is that part of it. And that's really the subtext to everything. And so when you come here, you'll be thinking ship, you'll be thinking these things, but when you leave here, you'll have an appreciation of what it's like to be a sailor.
I'm going back to boot camp ideas, by the way. Forging a sailor.
That's in my design area, and it keeps being adjusted.
It hasn't been adjusted. You convinced me one, but I still have this vision of the other side.
Well, I would say this, Jonathan. Part of what you guys are working on that first exhibit is you have a lot of stories to tell, but the way Josh and I, because this is our experience stuff, we don't need to tell every story with each piece. We have these other 10 things, and this is the first piece of that story.
Yep.
And you can't try to cram everything into this first exhibit. You have to spoon feed it. So this exhibit about what it's like starting as a sailor is you don't have to cram everything else in. We'll get the other stuff as we fill out the ship. Yeah. So that should take your mind off of, oh my gosh, because there's always something else I could add to the story, and then you dilute what that one piece is supposed to be.
Simple and unique and immersive and impactful.
I think the coolest thing, and I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but the targets we're putting out in the harbor so that people can actually shoot the main guns. No,
with the special target.
Yes. Sure. Just
we're actually, it's going to kind of be like one of those ranges. It's going to be shooting different containers. You got to figure out what container to shoot. So as you look at it, hit that one. Yeah. Get the third one down. If it's like Tetris, if you hit the third one down, everything crashes.
They all fall. Yes, it's a very interactive experience.
We're still talking to that $1 million guy, donation guy. Okay, all right.
He's in. He's in. Right? He's in for that. Yes.
Wow. I keep having this forging a sailor, and this will be on sound and video, I guess, which maybe I don't want it on there. But forging a sailor, and I was telling David this a couple weeks ago. Like, you know how we converted over and did the blueprint room? And I think that's just going to be so impactful just from what you get out of it. And I was like, what if you did like the terracotta warriors in Forging a Sailor? And when you walk through, you're like part of the parade of sailors in the actual parade, like the walking of sailors. It's like the terracotta warriors in a way, and you're walking right through the middle of them. And then you got the video, you got video or something in the distance of the different training. Sounds a little wild.
But this is part of the vision that you have, Jonathan, and part of
it may be wrong, by the way.
No,
it's
actually it might be wrong in that location because it's a small location, but there's another place on the ship for that.
Place in the ship where you could do.
And that's really 100%. What we're going to try to help. What we're trying to help you do is take your vision
inside the march.
But that's the whole point. Even no matter a half dozen ideas we've gone through on Forging a Sailor is all to put you in the moment, not looking at the moment, but in the moment. And
how are you part of the moment?
It's kind of important. One of the things we talk about in design, and you guys know this, is the whole swimmer, skimmer, diver. Right? You have people that just want to look.
Skim, swim, dive.
That's your skimmer. You have people that want to be involved. Yes, I've been through museums with you. You are the quintessential skimmer. 2 seconds. I'm unfortunately the quintessential diver. So when we are in a museum together, it is not always compatible. But you've got people that want the experience and want to feel the environment, and then you got people that want to do the deep dive. They want the minutia, and it's such a challenge to take a space, program it with a story that hits all of those wickets. But you guys have been instrumental in that.
Well, the other part of the skim, swim, or dive is that a lot of people aren't all or nothing, and meaning I can skim. I'm going to dive into that, skim, 100%. swim, and that's really what we want to make everything work for everybody. But you might dive into something he skims over, and he might dive into something you skim over, and that's so every exhibit's got to have all the levels of it.
But I think that's actually an interesting point, because I think that's where technology comes in.
Yep.
Right, to give a guest the ability to go as high level as they want and move on, or as deep as they want and stay there.
Well, that's
right?
the spine of the story starts from the beginning to the end. It's just the spine is what continues through. It's those threads that bounce over.
And the tech, that obviously near and dear to my heart, it's what I do. But the other key to that is if you see the technology, you've probably done it wrong. Right? It's got to enable that experience to skim, swim, or dive without being tech forward. Right? It's got to be experience forward.
We're going to do something in here eventually.
Yep.
I have ideas.
I really want to do that frame over there. I want to do a framed fake painting of all the Joint Chiefs sitting around the table with a matte screen. So it's like painting. It's like the Last Supper.
Why don't we do a hologram that you can talk to?
Well, that'd be even cooler.
Oh.
But if you did like a
Like-
Last Supper painting up there, like not literally a Last Supper, but
No, but
Everybody
why not
yeah,
have
Joint
everybody
shafts, and then they can come alive in there.
everybody at the table, and you can come in and have a full-on
Yes,
conversation
you could do
with
that with the right donor. Get the right donor.
Sure.
We could do that tomorrow.
right?
No, because there is definitely still that thing when you come into this, that we're sitting here and having a conversation in a room where the conversation in the 1940s was the D-Day invasion plan.
If you can come in
It's
and like spot be part of the conversation, like you walk in as like you just happen to be walk into the middle of the conversation.
Those are the beautiful things you can do, though. Come in and hear sort of the background conversation and make a comment and have somebody respond to it. That's like, whoa. That's
Can you
the
believe
next
he said
level.
that? Excuse me?
Exactly.
Get him out of here, guards.
What's he doing here? Get him out of here.
This is obviously something, we've done this in the Harry Potter attractions, where you go to the portrait galleries and the portraits talk, just like they do in the books and the movies and stuff. But that's the other thing that draws us to this, is that the depth of what we're doing is so more significant than, hey, telling Harry Potter stories is interesting, and there's depth to that stuff too. But what we did for that, and you apply it to something like this platform, it just makes it more significant. It makes it more interesting that it's not just a fictional story we're telling. It's something deeper. So that talking portrait gallery is definitely something that plays here in a regular portrait gallery, but it has more significance to it.
So much that can be done.
Yeah, you got him thinking again. Usually doubles my workload.
Well, I mean, this is part of the thing, Jonathan, about opening, pieces of the ship one at a time, because all your ideas have. This is a huge platform.
We got to do them over years. I mean,
And we have to find the right place for them and the right sequence of events and what's the next thing, and this is where the donors come in too. What's important
it
to
drives
them.
a lot of it too.
Yeah.
It drives the speed, not just what we can do, but how fast we can do it. You mentioned the vision being too big. I don't think the vision is ever too big.
I agree.
But you got to stretch it over the timeline, right? You've got to. I keep thinking about intersections. You talked about the sailor's life today being not that different than a sailor 100 years ago. It's that intersection of job, time, moment, place. It's the same thing. The intersection of funding and vision and timeline. We need to be able to pay for it. We need to be able to plan it out so we're not trying to do everything all at once. And
We
need
can't
to
do
still
this
hit the
without your
vision.
support.
There you go. It's true.
Your support.
Yeah.
Today only.
Yeah.
Big vision has always been part of our DNA.
Yeah.
The fact that the ship is here is literally a miracle. We should have failed so many times.
Oh
It's
my
not
gosh.
even funny.
This
This is an amazing thing.
I have to be entirely honest. This is the first time in my life that I'm like, I question, did we go too big?
No.
And because it's challenging. I mean, getting donors on board to support it. Being a nonprofit, we don't get investors because we're not. I can't say I'm going to give you a 10% return on your money a year, right? It's a different gig, and getting donors to see it. Some of the challenges we run across is people just don't see it. Museums have become, the word museum has become
It's very blasé.
so decades ago that they don't want to fund museums. It's like, no, we're not a museum. Oh yeah, you're a museum. No, we're not a museum. And
There's
that's
something more.
I think that's the challenge that we're running through on the funding side, that I think getting something open will hopefully cross that chasm.
Yeah, I don't think you want to curtail your vision. There was a certain employer I used to work for that said, that one of the mottos was think big, think bigger, now double it, it's still too small, right? Don't constrain yourself by what you think can be done. Let's change the world. And part of that is, what's the word? It's not museum. Platform,
I don't know what the word
maybe,
is.
but I don't know what the word is, but it's not museum.
I keep saying, like, people say, what's your favorite museum in LA? And I say, oh, the Getty Villa, because I completely forget that we're a museum.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at some time, it's, people say, I'm going to go to the Getty, I'm going to go to the MoCA, I'm going to go to this, and I'm going to go to the Iowa, that's what it's going to be. And
Sure.
and there'll be some way to describe it, some tag to put on it, but when this thing gets going, it's going to be, hey, we're going to the Iowa. And that's what it's going to be, and there won't be anything else like it. There won't be any other thing to say, hey, it's which ship you're going to go to this weekend. It's not that at all.
It's going to become an experience in its own right. And to Phil's point, I'm going to the Iowa experience, right?
And the experience is almost starting to be overused in a lot of ways too.
It is. I mean, but immersions, experiences. People use these words, and then they throw a projection inside of a warehouse and say that's what they are, and
See that word?
and so experience isn't. It is all that, but it's the Iowa.
Yeah, I like that you're using it that way. I'm trying to get the comms team and everybody to stop using the word museum and Battleship Iowa or just Iowa, because for sailors, that's how we talk about our ships. We don't even use the. It's almost like a person, or it's a personal thing to us. I'm going down to the ship. I'm going to Iowa. It's just where you go. It's an environment. It's a group of people that you want to be around. It's a whole little world.
It's a state of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to eventually be. It's going to be something where people go, we got to go to the Iowa. We got to see that thing.
Yeah.
And what is it? You got to go see it. I mean, how do you describe it? You got to go see it. It's going to be an experience of some kind, but it's not going to be like anything else. And I think we'll go back to your idea, this is changing the industry. It's changing a lot of industries. The guest experience industry, the museum industry, all these things are coming together at a place like this. And entertainment, it's like all these worlds are coming. And that's what's changing.
It's converging.
Yeah.
Hypothetical crazy question. If the state of Iowa called you and said, we'll fund you, for eternity, but you got to bring the ship to Iowa, what would you do?
I mean, I'd probably send the ship to Iowa, truthfully. If they were going to fund it forever, I mean, it's their ship. I believe, I believe the USS Iowa is the state of Iowa's ship. I mean, it's America's ship, but it's the state of Iowa's ship.
Described it as Iowa's flagship.
So if it's Iowa's ship and Iowa wanted to fund it and keep it sustained, then I think it should go to Iowa. As Alabama's in Alabama and Texas is in Texas, North Carolina's in North Carolina. I will also say that I believe that while the ship is an important factor of what we do, I don't believe it's just Iowa. I believe that a Navy ship embodies the same principles of those that serve and have purpose. And I love this ship. It's not taken away from the ship, and I know David has a commitment to this ship for obvious reasons. But you have thousands upon thousands of ships that serve through history. And it's an example of service and an example of maritime service that if Iowa wanted their ship, I think Iowa should have their ship, and that wouldn't stop us from having another ship in LA, frankly. If I was to really answer a real question, I don't know how they would feel about that, but
Iowa is a beautiful centerpiece, but by expanding from being the Battleship Iowa Museum to being the National Museum of the Surface Navy, or the whatever we're
Surface
gonna
Navy
replace-
experience.
Surface Navy experience. I was going to say whatever we replace the word museum with. By moving to that national level, not only is this the museum about my ship, but I have 3 kids wearing the uniform. It's about their ships. It's about their experience. It's about my father's experience, about my uncle's experience. It's about the experience that goes back multiple generations and goes forward. One of the taglines we had early on was connecting the past with the future. By becoming that national level platform, we not only honor the state of Iowa with their flagship, but we use it as a centerpiece to talk about everybody's ship, to talk about the entire Navy experience, past, present, and future.
So when are people going to get to see this?
What, the experience?
Uh-huh.
Life of a Sailor? That's May. First part is May.
First part.
I'm just saying.
LA
for this-
Fleet Week
if-
2026.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. For
May,
everybody
LA Fleet Week
listening, right?
2026 is the
Everybody,
first
everybody
part of it.
watching and listening, they should.
And as we keep
Right.
going, we'll keep adding. I don't think we're going to pass that. I don't see any. I mean, there may be major release dates beyond that, but I think we're just going to keep adding from there.
Yep.
You'll find nuggets if you come back 6 months later.
I was going to say,
might
well,
find a different
when
nugget.
we open in May, we'll
we
still
may see
have
the two of you in some kind of section of it or something. I don't know.
Do cameos in some little.
what we
But we're also going to be
In
working on the
stasis,
pier and
yeah,
doing
yeah.
fun things.
What
on
we
the pier,
open
too.
in May is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to actually walk through some areas that are still being developed in order to get to what we're showing off. So
You know, that question of the Iowa thing, it's interesting because that's another thing I learned is how the name resonates with people, and the state of Iowa is very proud of being part of this ship. And not just this, there's a submarine called the Iowa. So everybody that served on this ship is proud of that submarine called the Iowa, and the state of Iowa is proud of that ship too. And that's part of the culture that we're talking about. It starts big, but it's also small pieces too. That the fact that just because we named it Iowa, is it that much different than Wisconsin? But Wisconsin can like their ship, but Iowa can own this one, and I think it's important. And it actually would be pretty cool to imagine this ship in a cornfield in Iowa if you could get it there. It wouldn't take away from what we're doing here.
You put it in Dubuque. I did some research for my Monday stuff. You put it in Dubuque or something, but you can't get it up the river.
yeah,
I'd put it in a
You can't
cornfield
get it
and
through.
make it out there, and it just would be. I mean, it wouldn't take away from what we're trying to tell
No.
by being in Iowa. I mean, it would like be taking the surface of the ocean to Iowa.
my engineering mind immediately goes to how to do that.
Couple Sikorsky helicopters.
Yeah.
Yeah, just two of them,
No
maybe
problem.
three.
I brought my RV home. And my cat
Or just get
walked up
King
to it,
Kong,
looked
picks
like
it up,
was
puts it
gonna
on his
jump
shoulder,
top,
walks
and
it in.
looked up and couldn't
Anything's
do the
possible.
math.
We got the
Couldn't do
creators
the
here.
math. I was going to say I
Remember,
can't do the
remember,
math.
Josh started with Star Wars, so we can, I'm sure, find some kind of spacecraft.
Yeah,
that will
Yoda
lift
could
the thing
take
up
it there.
and go
Yoda can take it there, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly.
Yeah, Yoda. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just... Sorry. All right.
Well, before we get completely off the rails here, we've been ending podcasts this year with 2 questions for everybody. You guys already answered the first one, which is why is this important and why do we need to preserve it? You already got that one. So question number 2 is, what are you reading?
All right, so I got a book that leads right into this. I read a lot of books, so I'm in the middle of a few right now. One of them is called Circle of Days, which is a Ken Follett historical fiction on how they built Stonehenge. And so moving this ship to Iowa is about the same thing as
There you
moving
go.
those rocks
Yeah.
to make Stonehenge. I also am in the middle of a book about what they call The Wingmen, and it's a story. It's the story of Ted Williams and John Glenn, who served together as Marine fighter pilots in
wow.
Korea,
What?
and how they had a lifelong relationship
Wow.
after that thing. So it's really kind of an interesting story because
Yeah.
it follows both the guys, and then they come back together, and completely
pretty
different
cool.
guys. But it's a weird book.
That's kind of neat. Huh.
I like
What are
that.
you reading, Josh? Anything?
I just finished Project Hail Mary, which is fantastic.
Nice. That is a
Yes,
great book.
It's
Excellent,
really great.
yes.
And I actually just last week bought Dan Brown's new book, and the title is escaping me. But a couple of people had said you should read that next.
He's always
So,
got intriguing stuff.
yeah, it was this, forgetting the topic, but essentially that our consciousness is sort of just one, and we're all kind of connected to what we would call the cloud. Yeah, so it's supposed to be pretty great read. So I'm excited.
That's good entertainment. I'm reading Charlie's Almanac. Charlie Munger's story, essays, and things that Charlie Munger put together.
Yeah, that's it. I did a Charlie Munger biography last year. Really interesting guy.
Yeah,
Really interesting guy.
guy.
I do a lot of biographies, autobiographies. I just finished one from Allen Iverson, of all people, and part of it, what I do is I just reserve them on the library app, and so they just start showing up on my books and my phones and stuff like that. So it just keeps the thing going.
Huh, that's cool.
That way, I'm not worried about which one it is. I just a bunch of
Go to the
random
next
stuff,
one.
and sometimes they're winners and sometimes they're not. But
Yeah. Let's go to the next one.
I do read a lot.
Huh.
I love how everyone is always reading more than one book. We all do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's,
Yeah, I mean, I got a real book, I got a Kindle book, I got a nonfiction book, and then a nonfiction Kindle book, and then I got an audio book going, and it's like all that stuff. So I always got a bunch of them at the same time.
keeps you growing.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm not reading anything right now, but I've been listening to Masterclass, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I've got 2 under my belt already, and a third one on behavioral effects, which I think is really fascinating. Beyond that, I'm a
There's some
train
good ones
nut,
on
so I read
Masterclass.
anything I can find about a train. So, I build trains for fun.
Yeah, Masterclass has got I've
The
blown through a lot
Masterclass,
of them.
highly
Masterclass is
recommend it.
great.
There's a lot of good
Even
ones
the
on
Bob
there.
Iger stuff
Bob
was
Iger stuff,
fascinating.
yeah.
I went through his entire thing, and the other one on power.
Yeah.
But yeah, really good stuff. There's a whole series, Navy SEALs, about leadership, which I'm interested in.
Yeah.
It's not about war fighting; it's about leadership,
Yeah.
which I appreciate that too.
I just did Chris Voss's one, the Art of Negotiation.
Yeah,
That's really good.
a lot of our books are up north. Or, I just some when I'm
David,
up there,
what
I
are you
might
reading?
grab some.
So I actually just finished Project Hail Mary as well, and I picked up something called the Code Book, which is the history of cryptography.
Oh, cool.
So it's not a light read, but something in between fiction, right? So
How far in are you?
2 chapters in through the Mary Queen of Scots and Caesar ciphers and whatnot. How people die when their codes get broken. So,
All I think of is drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
the code.
That is so good, right? The
Christmas story.
Christmas story.
Is it
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
No, I.
Oh, you don't.
little
okay.
Orphan Annie
Yes.
decoder ring. Be
Yes.
sure and drink your Ovaltine.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
It's a
One of the
great
best.
movie. So much fun.
One of the best.
Do you have the leg lamp in your living room?
No.
For Chile, it's Italian.
Bruce Double D does.
Yeah.
We have a leg lamp, but it only comes out at Christmas.
Bruce Double D. Bruce Double D has a leg lamp.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I think
My
I have
parents
a.
have a leg lamp.
I think I have a mini one in my collection.
You have a cool office, Josh. That's pretty fun. And I like your background too, because you got Legos
Yeah.
everywhere, and I'm a Lego
I'm
kid.
a Lego fanatic.
Totally fun.
Yeah.
Me
I
too.
would do that now if I had.
I have the lunar module in my office here,
Yep.
and I have the original Saturn V release, and I never got around to building it. It's still in the sealed box, and I looked at what it was worth in the sealed box, and I'm like,
Do I really
I
want to build
bought
it
it
now?
to build it. You know? Like I really kind of want to build it, but it's worth quite a bit in the sealed box.
That's how I knew we
You
were
could
gonna
add a
get
third
along.
question. What Lego are you
Yeah,
building?
exactly.
I can put that one in there, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be
I just
good.
finished the camera, so I have the
Sick.
typewriter.
Polaroid?
Yeah.
Polaroid?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, there's some tour folks out there.
Yeah,
Oh.
so
I wasn't sure if they were doing a President's tour.
we are good. President's Tour is on the way in here, so perfect timing.
There we
Thank
go.
you guys so much for coming down.
Well, thanks for
Our
inviting us. Very
pleasure.
nice.
Yes.
Always
Lovely
like
to
hanging
have
out
you.
with you
We'll have to
guys.
have you back again.
You guys want lunch?